Welcome to the Classic Car Shop. This is our 1965 Ford Taunus P5 20 MTS. Okay, so firstly I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the car itself and where we found it. We discovered the car in a barn outside Bricante in Bellac in the Limousin region of France, where it had been stood for about 5 years. Generally it's done it the world of good, paintwork is exceptional, it's not without a few age related marks. There are a couple of dings here and there which were obviously from the first owner, but generally fantastic condition, and overall the video will be a really good opportunity to see a very rare car. There's not many of these for sale in Europe at the moment, let alone in the UK, so yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Firstly I'd like to talk a little bit about the engine bay. As you can see, the engine's actually not in the car. That's for two reasons. Number one being so we could actually take the engine out and clean it properly without it being in situ. Obviously you can get to a lot more places that you could ordinarily with the engine being in the car, and the same goes for number two. The actual engine bay itself, much easier to do when the engine's out. As you can see, it does look pretty much original, down to the coil, etc. Brake servo, steering box. The only things that look to have been changed, at least I can say for definite, are the master cylinder and this air horn here. I don't think they made them like that in 1965, but someone might tell me otherwise. The next part of the video, I'd like to show you the transmission tunnel underneath. So what we're going to do, we're going to lift the car up and we're going to show you what we've been up to today. So you can see where we've taken off the gearbox, we've removed the supporting beam on these 4 points here, giving us access to all around the transmission tunnel. A lot of degreaser used in the process, taking all the cleaning all the way back to the rear end of the car. Okay, so as you can tell, steel brake lines, all in remarkable condition. All we've had to do, along with degreasing the rest of the floor pan, just covered them with degreaser, some very small wire brush to try and get in the gaps in between. Obviously there is still some dirt residue showing, but for the most part it's all cleaned up pretty well. So you can see there is still a tiny bit of residue there. We've not gone too mad on it because we didn't know how far it would take it off. The cleaning process, we took it all the way up to this rear cross member here and built into the floor pan. You can see even down to the flexi hoses, fantastic condition, even down to the handbrake cable. The handbrake cable does actually look fairly old, dead basic hangers. A little bit about the petrol tank, quite an unusual location. We were told a story out in France from the Bricante where we got the car. Basically he said there's not many of these cars about because where they designed the petrol tank, unfortunately what happened was when the cars were rear-ended they went up in flames, obviously because this supporting cross member was not strong enough. Engine, petrol, explosion. So you can see leaf springs, rear shock absorber, they do look quite aged, still in perfect working order. Rear axle looks completely original, same for this side for the most part. Definitely had a new flexi there at some point. So you can see the car's had new calipers, definitely had a new flexi there at some point, and this hose, and the same on that side. Good sign that the car's been looked after, especially having both sides done. Generally sign of a good owner, anything like that. Okay, so as you can see, the engine out the Taunus. Original Cologne V6, 20 MTS, the 20M referring to 2 litre engine, the TS effectively meaning top spec. Got the original Solex carbon which we've had off and had cleaned, it's come up really well. We've cleaned around all the rocker covers and everything with engine degreaser. There's some slight paint damage along the way, which is really, I wouldn't have said that's anything to do with anything we've done. I think that's just age of the car, but generally it's going to look really good back in the car, especially considering a very clean engine bay. Car's still on a 6-volt system, which is quite interesting because obviously you don't see that very much anymore, and us keeping to the originality, we're not going to touch that. No new ignition systems, we're going to keep it exactly how it is. We intend on changing all the leads, the plugs and the points, but generally the car drove really well on its journey back to the UK, so I can't see there being any major problems going back onto the road. So one small problem we do have to contend with, taking the downpipe off in the process. When we took the manifold away from the block, it actually separated into 2 pieces, one little piece came off, so we're either going to have to try and get that reattached somehow or look for a new manifold, which will be quite difficult due to the age of the car. And also what we've had to do is locate a downpipe in Germany to go in here into the centre box. As you can see around there, still some stuck inside. It's separated completely into 2 pieces, which might be a bit of a pain. We might be able to save the centre box, but we might not, so we're going to have to see how that goes. Okay, so as you can see, it's gearbox out the Taunus. It's only a small box. It's pretty clean, there is some more cleaning to do. You can see the original Ford numbers on the side. Inside the bell housing does need a bit of a clean. We're probably going to change that clutch release bearing. probably is due a change now. All the linkages look pretty good condition. Not a heavy box, wasn't too bad to take out. That's the supporting beam that we referred to earlier in the video with the 4 points. Pressure plate looks pretty good. Slight scores. I would imagine that's pretty original. Same goes for the clutch. Coming quite close to the rivets now. Didn't notice any major problems while driving, but probably worth changing considering the engine and the box are out. There's no real better time. The flywheel, bit gunky, but it'll probably clean up quite well. All the teeth look good condition. So that's the gearbox. So that's about it for our first video on the Ford Taunus project. I hope you enjoyed it, and there's plenty more to come because we've got so much more to do. We'll try and keep you in the loop as far as we go. So stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.